Hello, Empire. This is a Night of Misfortune, doing another video for you guys. This is going to be a Supreme Commander 2, kind of a thing that I've never done before. It's going to be an interview. I am joined by my good friend and clanmate, Mr.StealUrGurl. How are you?
I am well, sir. How are you?
I am okay, I guess. So let's get started. I just wanted to first ask you to introduce yourself, I guess, who you are and what kind of shit you do around the community.
This is Mr. Steal Your Girl. I am a caster and a player. Just playing. But I cast as well. My name is Mr. Steal Your Girl, as I said, and I'm on Still Speaks on YouTube. You could check me out there. And you might have seen me around in the OSS clan on Steam. So yeah, that's what I do.
Oh yeah, very, very sexy. So my first question to you, Mr. Steal Your Girl, or second if you really want to get nitty-gritty about it like that. So what do you think makes a good Supreme Commander 2 player?
Oh, the I think we already have the best best Supreme Commander 2 player of all. It's the most complete. You have to be very complete, if not the most. Of course, I'm just trolling and kidding. What makes anybody who knows this joke knows the joke, and they probably find it somewhat humorous, I hope. But anybody new to the game probably has no idea. Um, what makes a good Subcom 2 player? Well, people who spend their economy wisely and their research points wisely. Those are pretty much real obvious points. And an excellent Subcom 2 player really knows the research tree and could really not telegraph, they don't want to telegraph, but they want to see what their opponent's telegraphing with what they research, as well as excellent scouting. Scouting is very important, and I don't know how many games I've seen lost due to poor scouting. So I will have to emphasize scouting. Please scout and reclamation. I've seen lots of free food, if you will, just chilling there, and people just ignoring it. It's very interesting, actually.
Indeed. So coming from that, I know not calling out anyone in particular, but who do you enjoy watching the most from the community?
Watching or playing?
Well,
Probably.
both. I mean, could be both.
Well, I enjoy watching Dr. Crazy right now because he's definitely one of the better players. I really do not enjoy playing him. Just kidding. He's actually great. He's just too damn good right now. Not that that's a bad thing. Um, yeah, I enjoy playing him, and I think he's probably one of the better players to watch at this moment. I would definitely, if for anybody learning to play, I would definitely look at his builds because he's got some of the best out at the moment.
Yeah, those German players sure got it figured out. A lot of good players over there. We got Ori, Nausicaa, all of those people. Um, I think even you is from Germany, isn't he?
Um, Me? No, I'm kidding. The player you. He's got a very very interesting name. I don't understand who would want to be named you. Um, yeah, his name is you, and I think he is from Germany. I'm not quite sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. You leave a comment if you're watching, as you should be watching. But yeah, I think he is from Germany.
Yeah, yeah. So, going away, switching from the good players of the Supreme Commander 2 community, what do you think that are the top noob mistakes, and how can the community improve as a whole to become a more competitive level?
The top noob mistakes, the worst. Okay, this is not just a noob mistake. This is probably the absolute worst thing. The thing I hate about the community. The worst thing about the community is the amount of, for lack of a better word, shit talking that goes on. I'm
Yeah.
really getting I'm really getting sick of that. My clan's better than your clan. I'm the best player. my clan leader told me I could beat your clan. I mean, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. We're not going to name names here,
No, no.
but that was really kind of annoying. But yeah, the people will just say, "I'm gonna beat you. I'm better than you. I'm better than him. I could beat him. I'm better than this." That is really not what we need to hear. That is not what the community needs. That is also a noob mistake because I've had people actually say, "I could probably beat you." Somebody tell me I could beat you, and then they play me and they get slaughtered. And it doesn't matter whether they get slaughtered or not. It's just the fact that they would say that to somebody. I could beat you. It doesn't really matter who could beat who. It's just a game. Enjoy it. Play it and enjoy it. So that's my that is a top new mistake I see. It kind of gets people not wanting to play with you and not wanting to play in general. Because as you know, I've left the community several times, and
Mhm.
it was mainly because of that. It just really got on my nerves.
Yes, and we had several of those people like that, and it just doesn't explain anything. Instead of talking your mouth off like that, you should just prove it in game. And with a community like ours in Supreme Commander 2, you really can't afford to be doing these kind of things at all. But
No, we have such a small community.
yes, exactly. Everybody should be getting along and playing with each other as much as possible and promoting the game to others. But if others see this kind of bickering and just, oh, I'm better than you, even if it is to like someone new, I mean, that just discourages everybody to play the game.
That is exactly true.
And but I was actually wondering for the newer players who are watching this podcast or video, I guess, what is, for example, I see a lot of newer players building lines of energy when there really
Oh
isn't
God.
there really is no need in any game to be doing that. But what do you think? What is the top thing, your top pet peeve, I guess, of the new players that they do?
Besides, they're running their mouth.
Running their mouth, like strategy wise, like game wise, like
Oh, okay,
where
okay.
can they
Actually,
improve the most?
gameplay.
Yeah.
Well, what they could improve? Well, they really need to watch the good players. Their opening build with this new patch, the 126 patch.
Hmm.
It's really forgiving because how little mass extractors cost.
Yeah.
My most noob complaint would be gunship rushes.
Oh
What the
yeah.
hell? Who does that? Like, who thinks that is going to work? The
Especially against
moment I see
Hybrid.
it, or yeah, or anybody, it has worked on me once because I was like, twiddling my thumbs and not really paying attention, and it's worked on everybody at least once.
Oh,
But it's
definitely.
still one of those things where it's like, really just built a bunch of gunships and expected that to win? Were really? Or building like one or two factories and that's it. You just go like, what are you doing? But that's not how you win.
But you gotta admit that the 1.26 patch has made spam easier, and perhaps that's working for the counters against those kind of strategies as gunship rushes. But what do you think about the patch as a whole? Good or bad or step in the right direction?
Well, definitely it is a step in the right direction because of before the 1.26 patch, it was a rock paper scissors type of thing.
Hmm.
Like you've read the paper that went out that was like, this is what you do on open palms, and 9 times out of 10 that's gonna work. It's gonna work against good players too, and there's nothing that good player could really do against a comparable or better player.
Exactly.
So I think the making the mass extractors cost less and giving them veterancy was actually kind of cool. But the thing that really sucks about the 126 patch is the spam factor
Hmm.
and the size of the maps. The maps are not big enough for that type of spam. So when you get in the 20 minutes in the game, say you're playing as Aeon, you have like 20 plus factories churning out Yinzus, and you're gonna have like for 30 seconds, 20 units. Like, let's say the build time is somewhere around 30 seconds. You're going to have like 20 plus units per 20 seconds. That's going to be a lot of units, right? So your spam factor is going to be out of this world. So that's one of my major complaints about the game, and the map size that really kind of upsets me sometimes when you get to that point. And the power of Cybran has gotten so strong in the 1.2.6 patch in the late game. Like they are so powerful.
I would
Um,
say more of the mid game. The transitions they have are more options. But on the note of spamming, I have to agree. And there's a really good example of that. I don't know if I posted it on game replays, but I think you saw that game of me versus Kitty, where I was UEF and he was Aeon spamming a lot of factories, and all I was doing is sitting in the pocket of the open palms map, having one or two fat boys and just massive on like massive rampage of all these tanks coming into my base, and I couldn't do anything because I was getting overwhelmed of all this spam.
right, Fat Boys definitely are not as good anymore. They really aren't that good. That they're good when you have the advantage, but when you're at a disadvantage, the Fat Boys really are bad at defending because Aeon could easily like get their training up and their shields, and then they could micro all the things and be just fine. So that's very unfortunate for the UEF. For the UEF, you got to go training and get to your opponent really fast. Like the old 1-2-5 way of playing is totally dead. So the race to experimentals, it's not viable anymore.
Well, let's just say it's not viable for UEF or Aeon. For Aeon, it was never viable, but I do agree that Fat Boys have definitely decreased in their effectiveness. But what do you think about? I know we played a game a couple of days ago where it was basically training and shields against Fat Boys. What do you think about the spam of shields, basically, that is so popular in case of a lot of players or mid-range
Well, if
players,
I,
I guess.
Well, if I would have played right, I would have slaughtered you actually. Because if the amount of P shields I had, it would have negated pretty much all of the Fat Boy shots. I've also seen Aussie do this against Polar in a replay he sent me. All the Fat Boys, he had like two or three Fat Boys, and the shields that Aussie built were ridiculously good at blocking everything. The P shields have become insanely good. And training is now insanely good. Like you build one research station in the beginning of your match, two factories, you're going to have better units. So it doesn't matter if your opponent has three factories. As long as you're aggressive, you will win.
Hmm. Yes, and the P shields actually make the spam factor of the whole game quite more viable, I guess. Well,
Of course.
what other strategies do you think players should really take a look at with this new patch?
Well, really, get your research right and your spam right, you know? I mean, it's where it's gonna be. You know, maybe you could spam some and then get an experimental to support. Like if you're UEF, you're doing pretty well on the ground and you get a fat boy, you're gonna force your opponent to make some micro mistakes or something like that. So maybe just timing. It's all about timing right now because it's spam all the things and research is even more important. So knowing your research tree, knowing what counters what, and even saving up some research points for a fast counter. And be sure to expand. That's another thing I don't see noobs doing. I know we've actually passed that question, but that's another thing that's very important. So, you know, really just watch your opponent and anticipate what they're going to do.
So
So
do
I don't. Yeah.
So do you expect this tournament that's coming up? I know we haven't talked about that yet, but do you expect the tournament games at later stages between better players to be longer or shorter, or decided by just one pinnacle battle of spam, basically?
You know, I'm seeing games now not being decided by just one battle. I played matches where I just slaughter, 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 then all of a sudden I'm losing. So it is that research
Research
aspect.
factor.
What the research factor is huge. I mean, there's many variables in any game. It's what map, what factions, and playing styles, right? So I've actually seen games where Universal Colossi came in
Hmm.
and, well, they lost because there were so many megas on the field. But if those came quicker, they could have done some major damage. So no, one major battle will not do it. So against the better players, if they don't make a micro mistake, you're going to be seeing some pretty long games with experimentals.
Hmm. But you gotta say that Cybern experimentals are very hard to beat. So at that point, I think Cybern is the hardest faction to build or beat.
Definitely. Oh yeah, with an against an experienced Cybern player, you're going to have a very hard time late game because they pretty much have everything covered. They got structure detonate, unit detonate, adapters. So, right there you can't get close to them. You can't use air against them. And they got the shields, and then they get the bomb bouncer. You can't get close to them times two now. And then they got the megas,
Hmm.
so, and then they got cicadas, so they're invisible. So they're essentially practically invincible. You can only hope for a lucky snipe at that point.
And they're all those tech choices, as we talked not too long ago, are very easily attainable. But I guess more a general question. What overall, what do you think about 1.26?
Um, I like it, but it makes the game a little bit more balanced, where the PD push by the Aeon against, especially the Cybern. Back in the day, Cybern would not be used 1v1 because of that PD push issue and MMLs. Nowadays, Cybern are awesome 1v1. And UEF are a little weaker, but I've seen really good players pull off some awesome UEF wins. So I do like it, but I think it needs more support. It needs more tweaking because, like you said, the spam factor. We need more maps. Like we need bigger maps now to support
Hmm.
all of these factories that could be built. And yeah, pretty much. I like it. It just needs a little bit more work to make it a little more balanced.
What about air? How do you think air is going to factor in into all this new spam?
Air could definitely be used for a snipe. You hide it and you use it last minute when you see your opponent's not doing anything with air, especially with Aeon or Cybern. You just hide your air and there it is. You get like 30, 40 bombers, couple passes, you upgrade them, 30, couple passes, that enemy commander's gone. Pretty much it just it'll erase their base essentially. Same with the gunships, unless you're against Cybern, don't do that
Hmm.
against Cybern because of structure detonate. Anyhow, so yeah, air early on, not as good. Not as good unless you really know what you're doing. Because I've seen some good players do air factory first against even Cybern, and it was highly effective. But that was one of the top players doing it. I would not recommend it because anyone else would see that AA push you,
A creep.
AA tower, AA creep you, and that's it. But later game, especially when you get in that 20-minute mark and your mass extractors are getting all this lovely veterancy, just air all the things, keep it hidden, hold off, snipe, over.
So let's finish off this discussion about 1.25 and the changes it brought to the game by question. What do you think it will be actually interesting to compare what we say now and what we say after the tournament, but what do you think will be the prevailing tactic of players in the tournament? And what strategy will be king and supreme?
Oh, easy. Opening build. Um, One research, two factories. That's probably going to be the really prevailing opener, and it's going to be, the balance, finding the right balance between group numbers, unit numbers, and research.
Yes. Research does play a very big part, like we've discussed, and for all you new players, definitely look into that. But it does take a lot of experience to know what to get. For example, unit detonation, be it good or it is good, but in some choices you do not want to get unit detonate, as my one of my games of best out of three versus Apex on Steel's channel shows. But regardless, let's move away from the technical side of the game, unless you have any other comments about that.
Unit detonation is very good, but if you misclick once, there goes your army. I mean, I caution any newer player using that ability, that technique or research. Use it very wisely because it is very difficult to pull off unless you really know what you're doing.
Well, the problem with that game against Apex, I believe it was on Trailage Island, was that I went adapters and unit detonation, and you never really want to do that. And I misclicked, so I made all the wrong mistakes in that game. But regardless, let's move away from that and talk about the community a bit more. Um, After that patch came out, there have been quite a bit of new clans sprouting and some older clans leaving and more of players abandoning Supreme Commander. But now we see that, as in the case of MMs, they're returning. What do you think about all of this clan? I know we talked about players being running their mouths a lot, but what else do you think is going on here?
In what terms? Like the clans? I mean, the new clans are going to come up all the time. Whenever there's a Steam sale, you're gonna find new players, and
Hmm.
they're gonna band together. It's just how it is. People are going to find people that are about the same skill level, beat each other up, complain, bid a clan, and then talk their shit, and then disband. That's exactly what's gonna that we've seen it time and time again. It's the wheel has not been reinvented. It's just the
Hmm.
same old thing.
Yeah. But what do you think? A lot of clans, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Right now, I find clans to be almost. It's hard to explain. One thing, it's a good thing because it fosters healthy competition. It creates a community within a community, which is a very good thing. But another bad thing is that it creates an us versus
Hmm.
them type of mentality. I try my best not to do that just because I'm an OSS, or I try to be just like, hey, I'm just a guy in a clan. Doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything. Um, it creates it could create problems with the community being so small.
Yeah,
So I don't.
that's what I was actually going to ask. You think the interactions between these clans are healthy or overall negative?
Well, I see lots of clans getting together, trolling new players, and I'm not gonna lie, I've done it before, and
Oh, we
it's
did it.
it's fun. We have done it, and I'm not exactly proud of it. But it's fun and funny, but to the newer players, it's not so funny. So I don't think I'm gonna be doing that much more, and I think uh, it's not good. We need to maybe make the clan thing more like de-emphasize. Like, yeah, I'm in this clan, but it's not a it's not a huge thing. Well, it is a huge. It's so hard to explain this. So I think the amount of clans that popped up, not such a good thing. Maybe the clans that were pre-existing the 126 are fine because hey, they were there. They're kind of they're kind of these people that have been around,
Hmm.
like the MMs and even OSS. We've been around for a long time, but the newer clans, like I don't know, like they seem to be having. I'm not going to say anything rude about them. They have membership problems, like every clan does, really, especially when they're new. But I don't know.
And
Um,
forgive me for kind of diverging from the current discussion, but it kind of pertains to the discussion of the newer players. Um, there was some talk about the structure of the tournaments and how they should, how players should be seated, rather. And I got a few complaints from some STA members, basically asking so that newer players be matched up with newer players at the beginning, at the earlier stages of the round, and better players or pros, quote unquote, be matched against each other. What do you think about that? My opinion on it is that yeah, that format basically sacrifices the later part of the tournament. But what do you think about that?
I think that's rather silly because A, it's the luck of the draw, and B, I actually want to see the better players go further.
Hmm.
I think it's kind of ridiculous because it's like, yeah, we're new, and I think we should be against people at comparable level. Well, you're joining a competitive tournament.
Exactly.
Either deal with the luck of the draw or get out. Like I hate to say it, and like I know it doesn't really know cater to the community in that way. But in a way, it caters to one part of the community where the pros, but it doesn't cater to the new players. So maybe we need to make a new player tournament, like a tournament for just the average, if not newer people. I think that might be a good solution. You know?
Well, what I actually suggested to these players that has sent me complaints about the tournament that I organized was that that's really the job of the league. That's what you create a league for. You have worse players playing each other and higher players together, and the table basically splits into a top bracket and a bottom bracket. But their argument against this sort of format, or going back to my tournament now, is that by playing versus people your level, you somehow get better. But this is not how me and you got better. Me and you got better by playing better people, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I played a lot of games where I just got slaughtered, and get used to it. You look at the replay, you see why, and you go, "Oh, I could have done that. Oh, I could have done that." It. You don't sit there and complain about it. You do something about it.
Yes, and like I told, I much rather lose to a good player in round one and then enjoy a good tournament afterwards, seeing pros playing pros, than winning the first round, getting wiped out by a pro, and then watching that same pro playing some other noob, you know? So,
Yeah, it'd make for a very poor tournament. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I would not put newer players against newer players because, well, not going to make for a good tournament.
no. In my opinion, not at all. Um, let's see. We haven't talked about balance issues really. Do you want to talk about that? I think we touched about it lightly. UEF is, I think we both agree, vastly underpowered now, and Cybern obviously overpowered. But what about Aeon? We haven't really talked about Aeon too much.
Well, in some instances they're great. In other instances they're completely awful.
Yes, I agree. What do you think about teleport nowadays?
It's extremely overpowered. Teleport when during the late game and you're just pumping out unit after unit after unit. It's really just a telesnipe is so easy to pull off now.
Hmm, I see. And their air has gotten worse, so definitely limits the Aeon's options, and definitely the developers or someone out there has to do something with the balance. And like we talked about maps as well. Closing off here, a couple of more questions.
Wait, you don't want to talk more about balance? I mean, I got ideas, man.
All right, let's hear 'em, man. That's what we're here for.
Well, you know, the naval balance, everybody knows. I mean, Navy isn't even in tournaments. Like, you do not use a Navy map in tournaments because you just
Not at
go
all.
UEF. Go UEF, sub all the things, win. You know, or go Aeon, tank all the things, win. There needs to be some sort of balance with Navy. I think every faction should. Aeon, the hover tank should be something that is, what would you say, researchable. I think every faction should have some sort of hover unit that's researchable. I know it might sound crazy, but I think it might be a better idea. That would allow maps like Markham Bridge to be played because, you know, the Aeon hover tank makes it ridiculous because there's no way to play that map unless Aeon isn't there. So for the back to the Navy, you're going to need every faction to have a sub and a frigate right there readily available. And then destroyers and cruisers and battleships being researchable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Cybran, they need to have an MML readily available, a researchable tank, because I think that might be would kind of create a kind of a cool, like, it would just create some more strategies for the Cybran.
Mm-hmm.
And then a researchable tank, and then the adapter. They need to put that further back in the research line. Put that way back in the research, and then give them a AA doesn't need to be researched. Just give them a single use, not a single use, a single function AA unit, just like every other faction has. And I think that would balance that out a little more. Give the Aeon a really good experimental that has like range, accuracy, or speed or something, and then give Aeon some sort of, maybe take away the TML, because if you go completely air and you're against an Aeon player and they go TML and they do AA tower, they do it just right, you're going to have a bad time. So maybe replace that with a long-range artillery unit like every other faction has. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but that's one way of balancing it, because they do not have an artillery unit. So in artillery wars, Aeon loses.
Well, they do have that ML, TML.
Yeah, I said the TML, but once you get adapters, Cybran or the what was that? The slapsticks. Is it slapsticks? Slip taps, or whatever the hell they are.
let, me, let me look at that. It's sharpshooters.
Sharpshooters. Okay, that's for Aeon. Well, any faction, once you get the anti TML or MML anti-missile unit, get enough of those, and then shields. Those TMLs aren't going to get through. They may be more accurate, but like I said, if you take that away, give them a long range artillery, it would definitely help with the late game balance.
Mm-hmm. And now
make the UEF shields better.
Mm-hmm.
And then air has always been out ridiculously just poorly balanced. Like, every unit should have some sort of fighter. The fighter bombers, every faction should have a fighter. Every faction should have a bomber. And then researchable fighter bomber to be further down the line. That's just my opinion. It will definitely make air a lot more balanced.
Those are very interesting points, and we talked about a couple of days ago also about the addition of Seraphim to the game.
Oh man, I would love that, because that was definitely my favorite faction in FA. Oh man, I really, really love the Seraphim faction. They were a cross between Aeon and UEF. They just had something about them that I really enjoyed. And another thing, the UEF ACU, that needs to be fixed, because that ACU is kind of useless in combat.
Yeah, wait, Aeon ACU? You mean UEF ACU?
Didn't I say UEF?
No, I think you said Aeon.
I'm pretty sure I said UEF, but if I said Aeon, whatever. I meant to say UEF. Anyway, the UEF ACU is pretty much useless in combat. Like, if you're against an Aeon ACU, good night.
Indeed.
Good luck.
Indeed, and that's actually what was a very viable strategy in 1.25, and I think it still is. But regardless, I have one final question, and this is maybe a bigger question, or depending on how you look at it. What do you think has to happen for SC2 community to live on and the game to obviously not die?
First of all, more players. Second of all, more support from the developers. Like, we definitely need to keep patching this. And a map editor. That would be so awesome if we could make
Yeah.
our own maps. I would definitely waste a lot of time making a new map. Um, that and more support, and maybe take in consideration the ideas of the community. Like, hey, maybe all the factions need a naval a navy force, and maybe they need another faction. Maybe that Seraphim would be a great idea to put in there, and constantly rebalance, rewatch. You have a balancing team and check it out, and etiquette. The community needs etiquette. We need not to run our mouths.
Yeah.
We need not to say rude things to people. We just need to stop that. It just doesn't make any sense, you know. So, you know, we need our this. I'm gonna lay it down. I'm gonna lay down all etiquette rules right now. We need when you play somebody, say good luck, have fun, or GLHF. That's cool. That's great in the beginning of the game.
No matter
Don't
how
say.
much you played them.
Well, I would agree with that, but you know, some people seem not to care about that. But yeah, GLHF, great thing to do. And then don't talk crap. Don't say I'm gonna beat you. I'm better than you. Don't just leave it alone. You know, be a gentleman. Like what happened to video when gentlemen used to play games, and that was it. You'd have fun. You lost, you won. Who cares? You got to play. That's freaking awesome, right? So, and then don't talk crap to anybody. Don't say I beat him. I could beat him. And don't go posting like ridiculous replays without permission. Where like you got lucky and you beat somebody without you could do it if you have permission, of course. Don't just do that. You know, don't just post it. That's just kind of rude. And then, you know, again, I'm gonna emphasize this again. Don't talk crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And third of all, GG. Or say good game after the game. Say GG, not before the opponent's ACU detonates, but after the opponent's ACU detonates. GG. Say good game or GG. Better yet, GGWP. Good game, well played. Do that. And don't play supremacy. Nobody, or fast. Those are other things that
We haven't talked about that.
No, we haven't. But that's etiquette, in my opinion. Don't come into somebody's lobby and say, "Can we play fast?"
Oh my
Don't do
God.
that. Don't do that. You're just showing how new you are, and that's okay. If you're new, just don't be annoying about it, right?
I'm surprised that didn't come up earlier in our top mistakes that noobs make discussion.
I forget about that. But yeah, fast or what are the exclusions? No exclusions. Don't play with exclusions. Play assassination, normal speed, tournament maps, no exclusions, and you'll be on your way to becoming a pro if you play, take in feedback from pros that know what they're doing, as long as they're not trolling you, of course. Watch replays and just work on improving, and you'll get there.
Yeah, and all this BS about fast and supremacy apparently being more top tier and you need more skill to do that is complete BS in both of our opinions and in general top tier pro community. So
Well, you will never see a supremacy tournament, and if
no,
you
no
did,
way.
that would definitely be a tournament that you wouldn't see many pros involved in.
It would basically be two separate games because you could use your ACU to reset the field.
Right, the ACU would be it's a free nuke.
Hmm.
So like your opponent has a huge army. You just pull your army away, let them nuke your ACU, and then you just pull your army in, blow up their base, avoid their AC, just wreck their base, and you won.
Hmm.
It's really not okay. It's really lame.
Yes, I agree with you completely.
And in fast games, like there's no micro whatsoever.
Oh no,
You know,
not at all.
you hesitate 1 second. You have air, right? This actually has happened to me, and I was like picking my nose for just like 1 second. Like six AC1Ks, I had like over 100 wasps in the air. Six AC1Ks got right to my AC. He was dead within seconds, and like I was like, wait, what happened? How'd that happen? Like if that was on normal mode, I would have saw those AC1Ks a mile away and would have taken them out super fast. It would have been no contest. But to this fast mode, you miss the dot for just a second. It's they're in your base and they're wrecking everything. So fast mode is really stupid.
Yeah, a couple of things that we hate emerge on fast mode, and that are by no means a booster to your skill level or anything. One is spam. I mean, more so than in this current patch. Spam and sniping. Those are the two things that are very uh, they don't require
Prominent.
skill. Yeah, and dominant on fast. So
Oh yeah, they're very prominent, and there's no micro.
no,
Can't
no.
micro anything. Like it's fast is just silly game version, and it shouldn't have been available. But
Well,
some
no, I
people
mean it
just
can. You can play it for fun. I have no problem with people playing it for fun. But yeah, when you have a lobby up and one kid comes in and starts, can we have fast? Like that's just not.
all right. Yeah, it's good for fun, and so is supremacy. But like when somebody goes in and says fast and starts saying you're a
Yeah.
noob, it's like,
Yeah.
what? That always makes me scratch my head
That's exactly
when
my point.
these fast noobs come in and they're like, "Go play fast." It's like then like they play in. That's another thing with etiquette. They play a normal game and they're like, "Oh my god, normal's so slow," and it's like, no, normal is normal.
Very
Fast
challenging
is
indeed.
yeah, and fast is stupid. I don't know.
No, no,
But
you're completely right.
but yeah. So, that's pretty much my opinion.
Yep, and I guess that brings us to the end. Jesus, it's been 42 minutes. I did not expect it to go this long. But we're just gonna, I guess, we're gonna close off. Do you have any last minute comments or questions that you want to ask or anything?
No, not really, not exactly. I think we covered most of it. I mean, I would like to see new units. I would like to see, the Harvey Mark IV make a return for the Aeon, and the Percival make a return for the UEF, and the Brick make a return for Cybran. I think that would be really would change things around. Of course, things have to be rebalanced in the research tree, but I think those would be kind of fun.
Hmm.
New units. I would just love to see a new patch with just cool stuff. Even if I had to pay for it, I'd be happy with that.
Oh yeah, and I don't think they would charge too much. But anyhow, this has been Mr. Steal Your Girl. Go check him out at Steel Speaks on YouTube. He does amazing casts. And subscribe to us both if you haven't already, and comment and let us know what you think about the things we've talked about. I think we had a good, solid discussion that pretty much encompassed most of Supreme Commander 2. But anyhow, thank you very much for watching, and I guess we'll see you later.
Have a good one.
Peace.